I wonder what they think now, because
here in Omaha, and he has this city abuzz, I assure you.
Okay, gentlemen, you both receive.
Bring authentic sabor to your table. Somos el Mexicano.
Terence Crawford undefeated in 39 fights.
By the WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, the WBA President Gilberto Jesus Mendoza, the IBF President Daryl Peoples, and the WBO President Francisco Valcarcel. Third man in the ring, a referee in charge of the action, Thomas Taylor. Tentando a Saúl Canelo Alvarez. Once again, a referee in charge, Thomas Taylor, now to give instructions.
See him lay on that left side.
Punching between punches and a flush.
With another look at it right here. Terence following him out. Fundamentally.
Coming out. All that centering on the relationship of training.
Terence Crawford.
The right hand. Change the trajectory on it.
Right hook. Uppercut sends him back. Another left hand and a knockdown score.
Right. Canelo will have to cut off the ring. He takes a left hand and then comes in and shoved around.
The punches.
Free up your hands.
Setting traps for him.
That was the signature punch of that second round.
Round 3. Canelo. What he's trying to stick out there.
A super fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Bud Crawford sounds like a boxing fan's dream, and for now, that's exactly what it is, just a dream. After 3 days of chaos, conflicting reports, and secret phone calls behind the scenes, the rumored September 13th showdown at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas remains unconfirmed. But if both fighters sign in the coming weeks, this won't just be one of the biggest fights of 2025, it could be the most fragile mega fight since Mayweather vs Pacquiao. Here's what we know so far, and 5 major concerns that fans and insiders are already whispering about. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor, like this video and hit subscribe. 98% of you watch without subscribing, and it helps more than you think. Done? Great, let's get into it. Before Canelo can even focus on Crawford and Allegiant Stadium, he has to survive a real and very risky challenge, an upcoming May bout against undefeated IBF super middleweight champion William Skull. On paper, it's being sold as a routine tune-up, part of Canelo's traditional Cinco de Mayo event. But behind the scenes? This is anything but routine. Skull might not be a household name, but make no mistake, he's no easy target. The Cuban-born German is coming off a grueling win over Vladimir Siskin and holds the very IBF belt Canelo once vacated while chasing a more lucrative fight with Edgar Berlingo. Now, Skull is active, confident, and hungry. And when a fighter like that gets in front of a global superstar like Canelo, what was meant to be a stay-busy fight becomes a high-stakes gamble. And here's the kicker, Canelo needs that belt. Reclaiming the IBF title would make him undisputed once again at 168 pounds, adding even more weight to a potential Crawford clash. But boxing doesn't follow blueprints. If the fight with Skull goes deep, if there's a cut, a hand injury, or even a controversial decision, the September showdown could be thrown completely off track. Canelo isn't getting younger. At this point in his career, every tough fight takes a toll that rest alone can't fix. There's also the politics of boxing to consider. Skull is a mandatory, and sanctioning bodies don't take kindly to champions avoiding obligations. If Canelo struggles or takes damage, negotiations with Crawford could stall, reshuffle, or fall apart completely. This fight isn't just dangerous, it's a trap hiding in plain sight. One wrong move in May, and a $150 million super fight disappears overnight. On the other side, for all of Terence Bud Crawford's brilliance, the pinpoint accuracy, switch-hitting mastery, and mental dominance, time isn't on his side. Since 2020, Crawford has fought just once per year. Whether that's due to boxing politics or personal choices, the inactivity is hard to ignore. Sure, his win over Errol Spence Jr. was legendary. But the long gaps between fights are becoming more noticeable. At 37, Crawford is older than Canelo, less active, and now moving into unknown territory. After briefly competing at 154 pounds, he's aiming to jump all the way to 168, a division where the punches are heavier, clinches stronger, and the physical toll far greater. But this isn't just a jump in weight, it's a leap of faith. This fight is about more than moving divisions. It's about defying biology. Jumping a full weight class is rare. Doing it in your late 30s? That's almost unheard of. Reflex is slow. Recovery takes longer. Even with a perfect camp, the body doesn't adjust overnight. It's not just about adding muscle, it's about re-engineering a body built on speed, balance, and explosive timing. At super middleweight, punches don't just come later, they land harder. So the real question is, will Crawford still be the same counterpunching genius at 168 that he was at 147? Or will the added weight dull just enough of his edge for Canelo to break through? Then there's the mental side. Boxing is rhythm. Inactivity doesn't just affect cardio, it erodes timing, awareness, and instinct. Crawford's ring IQ is elite, but instincts fade without live representatives. He's walking into the biggest fight of his life after a long layoff, and with no warm-up at 168. That's not just bold. It borders on reckless. This isn't a normal step up. It's a historic leap, one rarely seen at this level in modern boxing. So the real question isn't whether Crawford is still great. It's whether greatness can survive the wait. Now let's peel back the curtain and ask the tough question, why now? For years, Canelo dismissed the idea of fighting Crawford, citing size differences and saying, he has everything to gain and nothing to lose. That was just last year. So what changed? 2 words, Turki Alalshik. The Saudi power broker behind Riyadh season has flipped the fight game on its head with blank check matchmaking. And reportedly, he put $150 million on the table for this fight. That kind of offer is impossible to ignore, even for a man like Canelo who already has generational wealth. When you're offered more for one night than most champions make in a decade, pride takes a backseat. But this isn't just about money. Quietly, Canelo has been building something bigger, not just a legacy inside the ring but a business outside of it. He's already promoting fighters like Teofimo Lopez and Jamie Munguia. He's no longer just chasing belts, he's chasing control. A win over Crawford doesn't just silence critics. It increases his value as a promoter, brand, and businessman. This is the Oscar de la Hoya playbook: use the final years of your career to launch an empire. So while fans see an epic showdown, the deeper truth might be this: is Canelo trying to prove something in the ring, or build something beyond it? Back when Crawford ruled 147, he looked untouchable, slicing through champions, switching stances mid-fight, and mentally breaking opponents down. But at 154, the margin for error shrank. He was still dominant, but everything got tighter. Now, he's attempting the unthinkable, jumping straight from junior middleweight to super middleweight, and facing one of the most battle-tested fighters of this generation. The challenge is massive. The stakes? Even bigger. Crawford knows what he's getting into. He's even admitted the climb is steep. "I walk around heavier than people think," he told Boxing Scene. But as he added, it's different when you've got a fight there. And he's right. Walking around at 170 is one thing. Competing for 12 elite rounds at 168 is another. Facing a man who's lived and thrived in the 168-pound division for over a decade is a different beast altogether. Crawford's brilliance has never come from brute strength, it's built on nuance. Subtle reflexes, shifting rhythms, flawless timing, that's the DNA of Terence "Bud" Crawford. But at super middleweight, the game changes. The punches don't get faster, they get slower, heavier, and far more punishing. Here, strength in the clinch matters. Punch resistance matters. And every tool Crawford has relied on will be pushed to its limit. Can he carry his speed with the added bulk? Will his footwork still slice through angles, or will it dull under the weight of a re-engineered frame? Will his stamina hold up across 12 bruising rounds in a body that's never been tested at this size? History gives us a warning. Roy Jones Jr. made history when he jumped to heavyweight. but when he dropped back down, he was never the same. The gamble altered him. Forever. Could Crawford, now 37, be walking into that same irreversible transformation? With no time to adjust and no tune-up fights at 168, he's skipping the lab work and jumping straight into the experiment. From elite technician to walking science project, and there's no rewind button if this goes wrong. But this fight isn't just a spectacle. It's a logjam. Two entire divisions, 154 and 168, are now in limbo because of this mega event. Let's start at junior middleweight. Crawford was on the brink of unifying the division. A fight with WBC and WBO champ Sebastian Fundora was there. Then maybe a winter clash with Boram Murtazaliev. That run could have made Bud the first male fighter in the four-belt era to become undisputed in 3 weight classes. A legacy-defining path, now frozen. And if the Canelo fight consumes the rest of 2025? That door may never reopen. At 168, it's even more complicated. Canelo already had a crowded queue of challengers before Crawford came knocking. David Benavidez, the most feared man in the division, has been campaigning for that fight for years. Young guns like Diego Pacheco and Christian Billy are rising fast. And of course, IBF mandatory William Skull is already locked in for May. And it doesn't stop there. Go up to 175, and things get even more historic. If Dmitry Bivol beats Artur Beterbiev in their upcoming rematch, an undisputed light heavyweight clash with Canelo could be next. But only if Canelo gets past Crawford clean, no injuries, no controversy, no delays. That's the danger. If anything derails Canelo versus Crawford, a cut, a contract hiccup, or just boxing being boxing, we're looking at a total freeze across 2 divisions and at least 6 elite contenders. For months. Maybe longer. This is boxing's classic paradox. To make one unforgettable moment, you might have to stop the rest of the sport. And here's where the lines between business and boxing get blurry. Insiders say when talks of this fight first started, Team Alvarez tossed out a $150 million figure, not as an offer, but as a polite deterrent. It was meant to end the conversation before it began. After all, Canelo didn't even make that much for Golovkin, Caleb Plant, or Dmitry Bivol. Why risk it all against a smaller, faster man who could outbox him, even in a close loss? But then, Turkic Alalshik walked in. The Saudi power broker behind Riyadh Season didn't blink. He didn't bargain. He matched the number instantly. The fantasy fight turned real overnight. What was once a bluff became a business model. Suddenly, the rules of matchmaking weren't written in gyms or boardrooms, they were rewritten by oil-backed ambition and limitless cash. So is this a trap? A financial setup meant to box Canelo in? Or a brilliant checkmate, using the biggest purse in boxing to bend the sport to one man's terms? Either way, one thing is crystal clear, Canelo Alvarez is about to get paid like it's 2015 all over again, like it's peak Mayweather season. Boxing? After this fight, it may never operate the same way again. As the anticipation builds, so do the warnings, especially from those who've lived through wars in the ring. Former 2-division world champion and respected analyst Timothy Bradley offered one of the most haunting takes yet. He's not going to back down, Bradley said of Crawford. And that's what scares me. Because that man in the opposite corner, Canelo Alvarez, isn't just strong. He's naturally powerful, dangerously experienced, and completely at home in a division Crawford has never tested. Canelo has lived at 168. This is no longer a battle of pure skill, it's a test of survival. Crawford's genius lies in his adaptability, his ability to read opponents, make mid-fight adjustments, and operate with surgical precision. But let's be honest, Bud's got dog in him. When the pressure rises, he doesn't retreat. He bites down. He fights back. And that instinct, that pride, could be his downfall. Because Canelo doesn't just punch, he punishes. Especially to the body. And when he cuts off the ring and traps opponents in close, he doesn't just win exchanges. He breaks fighters down. If Crawford trades in the pocket, if he tries to match fire with fire against a natural super middleweight who's knocked out light heavyweights before, it could be over. Fast. One flash of pride. One wrong exchange. And Bud might never find his rhythm. So the question becomes, can Crawford stay disciplined for 12 rounds? Or will the heat of the moment drag him into a fight he can't win? And you know the fight is real when even the legends are split. Mike Tyson says, Canelo's too strong. Crawford's great, but size matters in boxing. Shakur Stevenson counters, Bud's too smart. He figures Canelo out late. Teddy Atlas warns, this could end like Kell Brook versus Golovkin. Andre Ward believes, Crawford's IQ and movement could give Canelo nightmares. Roy Jones Jr. predicts, Canelo's pressure and power will eventually break him. It's rare to see this kind of division among boxing royalty. Different eras. Different styles. No consensus. No clear favorite. And that's exactly what makes this fight so explosive. This isn't just a matchup. It's a collision of styles, legacies, timelines, and reputations. One punch could change everything. One round could rewrite the narrative. Now let's be honest, we're still 7 months away. And if history teaches us anything, it's to stay cautious. A bad cut in camp. A contract snag. A change of heart. We've watched super fights crumble over far less. Just ask Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua in 2018. But if it holds together? If both men survive their May matchups? If the stars align? Then what we're witnessing won't just be the biggest fight of 2025, it'll be the biggest real fight since Mayweather vs. Pacquiao. No exhibitions. No influencers. No gimmicks. Just two all-time greats walking into the fire, right at the edge of their primes, chasing greatness in its rawest form. So now it's your turn, who really wins this fight, and how? Bullseye was Canelo ducking or playing genius level?